Yo, what's up, Boneha? Shujinkydink here. Welcome to a video all about the top 5 worst characters in Mortal Kombat X. XL, I guess, because we're including the DLC. I tried to make a top 10 and I just couldn't. I just couldn't. I appreciate the ask there, but it's too tight. You know, there's just so many variations in this game that I was like, oh, this could go over this. So this is like a bit of an objective list. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. I tried to look at the characters like without the special moves and just see like, okay, well, even if you take away this, you still have this, this, and that, or this mix-up and this mix-up. So I really did my best here. But yeah, let me know what your top 5 worst variations in MKX is, and yeah, go from there. This includes variationless, by the way, which you might be surprised at what you see.
Accept your death.
So the first one on my list, and the actual best of all the worst variations, is High-Tech JACQUI. This character actually had some really good stuff going on, but unfortunately she was really hard counterpicked into some like pretty close to 9-1 matchups by a couple variations, like something like this. There was literally nothing that poor JACQUI could do about this in this variation. That was super easy, just pick it, lose, and then counterpick with a different variation. Which she had options, but we're talking about like why these variations are bad, right? Nothing she really could have done that would have been effective. So unfortunately, if you have a hard counterpick this bad, this is why you're top 5. That being said, she doesn't do bad elsewhere. You know, she's got good pressure, good damage, little damage buff thing going on. It's just the hard counterpick. I think there was something a Blood Codal could do as well against her. So you got a couple characters that have options, but this is what puts her at number 5 on my list. Coming in at number 4 is LACKEY FERRA. This character had a lot of good stuff up close. You know, you got a little bit of mix-ups kind of thing. You have a command grab. So character was, you know, not terrible, but unfortunately without the use of FERRA, really suffered a lot. You know, got zoned out really bad, was really punishable. And if they didn't get their offense going, it was GG's pretty much. Like I said, it's tough to do this because there's characters that, you know, have good options and good strings and good damage and that kind of thing, and TORR does have these things, but gives up a lot, and I mean a lot, when you're going from variations like Vicious or Ruthless to something like LACKEY. So unfortunately, that gets my my 4th spot. So moving on to number 3. Number 3 on my list is BOJUTSU Jin. And this is a really sad story, actually, because this character was beyond broken when the game first came out. Top tier AF, top 5 for sure, but was one of these characters that NRS kind of tends to nerf into oblivion, and that's exactly what happens. So you have all these moves here, like this one here. Yeah, maybe it's a great anti-air, you know, but doesn't really fit how the game plays. Then you have this one here is probably the only redeeming one. It's a SWAT, which kind of pushes the opponent away on block. But +3 there doesn't do a whole lot, I guess. You got the low, then you got the super slow overhead. So like, the thing is, these special moves don't really mesh with Jin's overall move list as a character here. So this variation just kind of falls flat, you know, especially when you can play other ones like, even Ancestral is a little bit better because you have different arrows, kind of like the green arrow thing going on in Injustice 2. And Shaolin, for sure, the best variation of Jin you can play. So there's not really a use for this variation, which is why I have it this high. And even if you do play this variation at kind of a top level, you're still handicapping yourself against majority of the other variations in the game. So coming in at number 3, BOJUTSU Jin. Number 2 is Drunken Master RAICHO. This was a variation that I really wanted to be good. Like, it had so many cool things, and maybe it's because I played Virtua Fighter 5 and I played Shun-Di, and like, I really like the idea of you get a drink, then you get a buff, and then if you can manage to get another drink, you got another buff. And then if you manage to get another drink, then you get another buff. And it was really cool, but it just did not fit at all with Mortal Kombat XL's speed. Like, if you didn't drink, look at that. You puked, and then you were just, you couldn't block. You were opened up for whatever the opponent was going to do, and in a game with tons of 50-50s, aggression, and especially against a character that struggles against zoning, as soon as you throw up and lose your buff, you're getting comboed into 50% into guess again, bro. I think a more appropriate game for this type of variation would have been Mortal Kombat 11 because of the slower pacing and that kind of thing. It would have been cool to see this idea put out there, but unfortunately it was cool they tried it, didn't work, actually probably ruined this character because like both other variations, all three of them struggle with zoning. You know, they can't really get in. RAICHO's a mixed character. But this is one that not only do you have to get in, but you have to come up with sit-ups and ways to get all three drinks in. You get to your like max kind of things like that, you know. It was just a flop all around. They didn't really base the character on how the game was paced. So unfortunately, it falls super flat, and there's no real reason to ever use this variation unless you hate yourself. And I should know because I played it for a while. And I hated myself. That being said, moving on to number 1. If you're enjoying all our Mortal Kombat videos we're putting out lately, slow here on the YouTube, so we're just kind of going through and putting through some funner type videos that aren't just gameplay of the same game over and over again. So once the next game comes out, hopefully in the spring, we'll have some more newer, fresher content. But until then, you get to hear my opinion. List videos. Hell yeah, brother. And the worst variation in Mortal Kombat XL was Variationless Kenshi. Still is. This character was a meme because all of Kenshi's special moves are linked to variations except for this one. If you take away his variation, you take away almost everything he has. Except for one thing, he has a low and he has an overhead. How do I do the overhead? Yeah, that one. But once you get the combo, you'd be lucky to hit like 35% maybe with 2 bars. Look at this special moves list here. Womp womp. 3 moves. Got the combos, but there's no real way to open anybody up. So unfortunately, Variationless Kenshi is just kind of a meme. I remember Spartan choosing him in a tournament one time just to kind of troll, and I think I actually won a game or two, which was kind of entertaining. But this is the worst variation character in MKXL. So there you go. My top 5 worst characters in Mortal Kombat XL. How did it pan out with your top or bottom 5, I guess? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, because it really helps me out, and subscribe if you haven't, because we make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you guys in the next video.
Accept your death.